Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says our freedom fighters would have felt proud of the way the government tackled the COVID pandemic. Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Amendment Bill introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha adjourned several times due to repeated interruptions by opposition over farm laws. Delhi police files FIR against people who created India maligning toolkit shared by Greta Thunberg on Twitter. More than 45,93,000 people given COVID vaccination so far in the country. And in cricket, a rejuvenated Team India takes on England in Chennai Test tomorrow. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the Chauri Chaura incident was not a single incident of setting fire to a police station, but it was the collective manifestation of the angst against the British rule. Inaugurating the Chauri Chaura centenary celebrations in Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Modi said the nation is entering into 75 years of freedom, and this centenary is an occasion to pay homage to India's great freedom fighters.
देश अपनी आजादी के 75वें वर्ष में प्रवेश कर रहा है। उस समय ऐसे समारोह का होना इसे और भी प्रासंगिक बना देता है। साथियों, चौरी चौरा देश के सामान्य मानवी का स्वतः स्फूर्त संग्राम था। ये दुर्भाग्य है कि चौरी चौरा के शहीदों के जितनी चर्चा होनी थी, बहुत अधिक चर्चा नहीं हो पाई। इस संग्राम के शहीदों को, क्रांतिकारियों को इतिहास के पन्नों में भले ही प्रमुखता से जगह न दी गई हो, लेकिन आजादी के लिए उनका खून देश की माटी में जरूर मिला हुआ है, जो हमें हमेशा प्रेरणा देता रहता है। अलग अलग गांव, अलग अलग आयु, अलग अलग सामाजिक पृष्ठभूमि, लेकिन एक साथ मिलकर वो सब मां भारती की वीर संतान थे।
The Prime Minister also released a postal stamp dedicated to the Chauri Chaura centenary. The day marks 100 years of the historic Chauri Chaura incident in India's freedom struggle. The Prime Minister said the centenary celebration is a commendable initiative by the Uttar Pradesh government to register the Chauri Chaura incident in the history of our country. The Prime Minister said our freedom fighters would have been so proud at the efforts made by us in the times of the COVID pandemic.
सामूहिकता के जिस शक्ति ने गुलामी की बेड़ियों को तोड़ा था, वही शक्ति भारत को दुनिया की बड़ी ताकत भी बनाएगी। सामूहिकता की यही शक्ति आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान का मूलभूत आधार है। इस देश को 130 करोड़ देशवासियों के लिए भी आत्मनिर्भर बना रहे हैं और पूरे वैश्विक परिवार की भलाई के लिए भी। आप कल्पना करिए, इस कोरोना काल में जब भारत ने 150 से ज्यादा देशों के नागरिकों की मदद के लिए जरूरी दवाइयां भेजी, आज भारत ने दुनिया के अलग अलग देशों से अपने 50 लाख से अधिक नागरिकों को स्वदेश लाने का काम किया। जब भारत ने अनेकों देशों के हजारों नागरिकों को सुरक्षित उनके देश भेजा, जब आज भारत खुद कोरोना की वैक्सीन बना रहा है, दुनिया के बड़े बड़े देशों से भी तेज गति से टीकाकरण कर रहा है, जब भारत मानव जीवन की रक्षा को ध्यान में रखते हुए दुनिया भर को वैक्सीन पहुंचा रहा है, तो हमारे स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों को जहां भी उनकी आत्मा होगी, जरूर गर्व महसूस होता होगा।
The Prime Minister also said that 40,000 crore rupees have been allocated to the infrastructure fund for the rural sector in the budget. This will give a boost to the country's farming sector. Earlier, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath paid tribute at the memorial in Chauri Chaura. Minister of State for Home Affairs G. Kishan Reddy introduced the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Amendment Bill 2021 in the Rajya Sabha today. The bill will replace Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Amendment Ordinance of 2021, which merged the J&K cadre of the Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service and Indian Forest Service with the Arunachal Pradesh, Goa, Mizoram and Union Territory cadre, also known as AGMUT cadre. The President had promulgated the ordinance last month to amend the J&K Reorganisation Act 2019.
The Delhi Police today said it has not named anybody in the FIR on the creators of Toolkit, which maligned India and was shared by environment activist Greta Thunberg. Speaking to reporters, Delhi Police Special Commissioner of Police Praveer Ranjan said FIR has been filed and investigation is underway. The Parliament of India passed the farm laws that have been discussed, debated and well known for nearly 20 years now. The government tried to address the concerns and held 11 rounds of talks at the level of top ministers of the government. The Supreme Court then called for a stay on the laws and made an expert committee to look into the laws and suggest ways for the resolution through talks. Even this order of the Supreme Court of India was rejected. The government itself ordered to stay the laws for 18 months till a solution could be found. This offer has been repeated by none other than the Prime Minister of India. Then the despicable violence which happened on the Republic Day pained everyone. The violence unleashed on the 26th of January did surprise many people who thought, what exactly do these protesters want? Because what people saw on the Republic Day had nothing to do with agriculture at all. Our correspondent reports a document called Toolkit came into the public domain yesterday, where an elaborate international conspiracy to wage economic, social and a cultural war against India was clearly seen. Our correspondents report that there were various people involved in this campaign against India on the pretext of the farm laws, but their agenda is truly and clearly to damage India.
The document shared on Twitter mistakenly by Greta Thunberg shows how Rihanna's and other such tweets were not organic but plan of a larger PR campaign to malign India. They were copied word to word as mentioned in the toolkit. This anti-India agenda has nothing to do with the 3 farm laws became clear when the document listed that the protesters have no plan beyond getting the 3 laws repealed. The people behind these sinister international alliances are those who want to wage a war against India economically, socially and culturally. The intent of the people behind the document has been inadvertently been revealed by themselves. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 97.13%. A total of 17,824 COVID patients recovered during the last 24 hours. The total number of recoveries has gone up to over 1,480,455. The Health Ministry said the actual caseload currently comprises only 1.44% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country stands at 1,55,025. More than 45,93,000 beneficiaries have been vaccinated against COVID-19 till 1:30 p.m. today. Briefing media in New Delhi, Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said 1,239 private facilities and 5,912 public facilities are being used as COVID-19 immunization sites in the country. As of now, he said India has become the fastest nation to reach 4 million COVID-19 vaccinations, and it took only 18 days to administer the first 4 million vaccines.
वैक्सीनेशन करने में हमारा देश विश्व में सबसे तेजी से वैक्सीनेशन करने वाला देश था। पहले 4 मिलियन वैक्सीनेशन करने में हमें 18 दिन लगे हैं। ये विश्व का सबसे कम समय है। 97% of the people were satisfied with overall vaccination experience. अभी तक हमने 43,91,826 हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स को वैक्सीनेट किया है, विच इज 45% ऑफ द यूनिवर्स।
The Health Secretary said 97% people who have received COVID-19 vaccine are satisfied, and the results are based on the feedback registered by vaccinated people through IT Ministry's feedback platform. He said Madhya Pradesh ranks first in immunizing the state's healthcare workers, and the state has been immunized 73% of its healthcare workers in just 18 days. Mr. Bhushan said active cases less than 1.60 lakh and declining, and the recovery rate has crossed 97% mark. The Health Secretary said positivity rate is also less in comparison to the month of August, where it is around 9%, but now it is around 5.42% and declining. Britain launched a trial today to assess the immune responses generated if doses of the COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer, Inc. and AstraZeneca are combined in a two-shot schedule. The British researchers behind the trial said data on vaccinating people with the two different types of coronavirus vaccines could help understand whether shots can be rolled out with greater flexibility around the world. Initial data on immune responses is expected to be generated around June. The trial will examine the immune responses of an initial dose of Pfizer vaccine followed by a booster of AstraZeneca, as well as vice versa, with intervals of 4 and 12 weeks. Both the mRNA shot developed by Pfizer and BioNTech and the adenovirus viral vector vaccine developed by Oxford University and AstraZeneca are currently being rolled out in Britain, with a 12-week gap between two doses of the same vaccine.
The Reserve Bank will announce its final bi-monthly monetary policy review for the financial year 2020-21 tomorrow. The meeting of the six-member Monetary Policy Committee, headed by RBI Governor Shaktikant Das, will conclude tomorrow morning with the policy announcement scheduled for 10 a.m. Mr. Das is also scheduled to address a press conference at 12 noon. It may be recalled that the committee has kept the interest rates unchanged in its last three reviews, maintaining the repo rate at 4% and the reverse repo rate at 3.35%. The RBI had last revised its policy rate on the 22nd of May 2020 to perk up demand by cutting interest rate to a historic low. RBI can take support from the Economic Survey, which expects a rebound of the economy with an 11% growth in the next fiscal.
India has said it is closely monitoring the developments in Myanmar in response to a media query this evening. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said India and Myanmar are neighbours with close cultural and people-to-people ties, bolstered by trade, economic, security and defence-related exchanges. You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio.
Now, here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today, first from Rajya Sabha. The writer is Sanjeev Chopra of the PTI. The Rajya Sabha today resumed the discussion on the motion of thanks to the presidential address. While opposition party members demanding the repeal of the farm laws, the BJP defended the new law, saying it is committed to increasing the income of the farmers. Participating in the discussion, Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said the government is committed to the welfare of the farmers and will help increase their income. He said the government will provide 1 lakh crore rupees additional income to the farmers that will be generated by converting waste into energy. The minister said the heap of waste at Ghazipur will be cleaned soon to create energy. Ghazipur at the Delhi-UP border is witnessing protests by the farmers from Uttar Pradesh against the three farm laws. Mr. Pradhan said the government has started the Gobar Dhan scheme, whereby cow dung, agriculture waste, city waste, forest waste and the carbon in biomass will be converted into energy. In a few days, the heap of waste at Ghazipur will be cleaned up, he said, adding that the energy made from such waste would help provide additional income to the farmers. He said income of farmers will double from that. The minister said the government has come up with a scheme to procure ethanol worth 20,000 crore rupees, which will help increase the farmers' income. Mr. Pradhan attacked the Congress for not bringing a law on minimum support price MSP of crops, despite being in power for long. He said yet the opposition party is questioning the government on this issue. He claimed that the Narendra Modi government, after coming to power in 2014, has substantially increased procurement of food grains at higher MSP. He recalled that during 2013-14, a total of 97,110 crore rupees was given as MSP to the farmers, whereas in 2020-21, the government has given 2.6 lakh crore rupees. According to Mr. Pradhan, MSP payment made to paddy growers under the Modi government has increased to 1.72 lakh crore rupees this year from rupees 63,000 crore during the previous regime in 2013-14, he said.
Referring to initiatives taken to achieve the target of doubling farmers' income, the minister said the effort to increase ethanol blending, compressed biogas programs, among others, will ensure additional income to farmers. He said the opposition Congress cannot appreciate such government efforts as it has never done except for hailing its dynasty. Mr. Pradhan said those born with a golden spoon cannot digest when a tea seller, son of a woman cleaning utensils in other houses for livelihood, takes the reins of the government. That is why they talk against the government. The minister said this government is for all sections of society, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a leader who is decisive and implements programs that have been promised. Defending the three new farm laws in Rajya Sabha, Jyotiraditya Scindia of the BJP said the government has taken a host of steps in the last 6 years to increase their income. He questioned the opposition for changing their stance on agricultural market reforms. He said the NDA government has been successful in handling the COVID-19 pandemic and also turning the crisis into an opportunity. Mr. Scindia attacked the Congress for changing its stand on the three legislations, saying the opposition party has favoured similar laws in its manifesto for the 2019 Lok Sabha election. He said NCP chief Sharad Pawar, who was the agriculture minister in the erstwhile UPA government, has written to all chief ministers for reforms in farm trade and the need for private sector participation in the agriculture sector. Mr. Scindia said opposition parties will have to change their habit of going back on their words and wondered for how long they would continue to harm the interests of the country. He also condemned the disrespect to the national flag and violence at Red Fort during the farmers' tractor rally. Mr. Scindia said the opposition has insulted the president, the country and the democracy by boycotting the president's address to both houses of parliament on January the 29th. He hailed the efforts of the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in checking the spread of the coronavirus when there were grim predictions of 80 crore infections and 20 lakh deaths. Swapan Das Gupta stressed on the need for upgradation in the agriculture sector. Earlier, opposition parties hit out at the government for its handling of the farmers' protest against the three farm laws. Manoj Kumar Jha of the RJD pleaded with the government to understand the pain of the farmers. Digvijay Singh of the Congress lashed out at the BJP government, saying right from demonetization to the CAA were blunders that hit the people hard. Quoting former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, he said demonetization was a monumental mismanagement, organized loot and legalized blunder. Mr. Singh said the void between the Modi government's promises and implementation was big and it could not win the hearts of people, whether the poor, the farmers or the labourers. The senior Congress leader also accused the government of mismanaging the COVID-19 pandemic and fueling corruption. Former Prime Minister and JDS leader H.D. Deve Gowda called farmers the backbone of the country and said miscreants and anti-social elements were behind the events of the Republic Day, and all political parties have condemned their actions and agree that they need to be punished. But the farmers' issue should not be mixed with it, he said, adding that the issue should be dealt with amicably. Dipinder Singh Hooda of the Congress hit out at the government, saying it should show a big heart and accept the demands of farmers by repealing the farm laws. He said the government should not question the patriotism of farmers, as they are the ones who have made the country self-sufficient in food by feeding 135 crore people. Mr. Hooda said there has not been a single word of condolence from the government yet on 194 farmers who lost their lives during the ongoing agitation. He also tabled the list of names of all 194 farmers who lost their lives during the agitation. Derek O'Brien of the Trinamool Congress pressed the government to repeal the 3 controversial farm laws and said he drafted a bill for the purpose of repealing them. He also demanded a proper inquiry into the death of a farmer during the tractor parade in Delhi on Republic Day. The Trinamool Congress MP said the farm laws were not sent to a select committee for scrutiny and accused the government of failing the sanctity of Parliament. Sanjay Singh of the Aam Aadmi Party said his party would continue to support the farmers protesting against the 3 farm laws. Bikash Ranjan Bhattacharya of the CPIM asked the government to withdraw the 3 contentious farm laws and hold talks with the agitating farmers. N.R. Ilango of the DMK asked the government to withdraw the 3 farm laws. Banda Prakash of the TRS asked the government to complete the projects promised to Telangana during the reorganization of Andhra Pradesh. Loktantrik Janata Dal LJD MP MV Shreyans Kumar attacked the government over its handling of the ongoing farmer agitation.
And now review of proceedings of the Lok Sabha. The writer is Kumar Rakesh of PTI. Opposition members protesting against the 3 farm laws continued to disrupt the proceedings in the Lok Sabha today, forcing repeated adjournments till 7 p.m. However, the question hour continued for a while immediately after the House met for the day at 4 p.m. Members belonging to several opposition parties stormed into the well of the House, displaying placards amid slogans against the government. Speaker Om Birla expressed his annoyance at the disruption by the opposition, saying their conduct is not in line with the dignity of the parliament. He observed that the members always pushed for having the question hour, but some of them are now trying to disrupt the proceedings. He then adjourned the House till 5 p.m. Meenakshi Lekhi of the BJP was in the chair when the House was reconvened at 5 p.m. Amid noisy scenes, Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad introduced the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill. The bill seeks to replace an ordinance that was promulgated in November last year. It seeks to ensure that all the stakeholder parties get an opportunity to seek an unconditional stay on enforcement of arbitral awards where the arbitration agreement or contract is induced by fraud or corruption. Criticizing the disruption of opposition members, the chair observed that parliamentarians are making a mockery of themselves. Later, she adjourned the House till 6 p.m. When the House met at 6 p.m., the situation was not changed. Rajendra Agrawal of the BJP, who is in the chair, adjourned the House till 7 p.m. Later at 7 p.m., presiding officer Rajendra Agrawal tried to run the House, but in vain. He adjourned the House till 8:30 p.m. The proceedings of the House were on at the time of writing of the script. That's all in the Parliament Review.
The News Services Division of All India Radio will bring a special program demystifying the false narratives by vested interests. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. The Indian cricket team under Virat Kohli is set to lock horns with Joe Root's England in the first test of the 4-match series beginning tomorrow at the historic M.A. Chidambaram Stadium at Chepauk in Chennai. This game will mark the return of international cricket in India after a year-long COVID-19 break. India played the last test match before the pandemic against Bangladesh on the 22nd of November 2019 at Eden Gardens, Kolkata. Both teams will enter the contest on the back of away series wins in the longest format of the game. India have beaten Australia 2-1 to win the Border Gavaskar Trophy, while Joe Root's England defeated Sri Lanka 2-0. India is likely to field 3 spinners as the test rubber gets interesting, as its result will decide the second finalist of the ICC World Test Championship, who will face New Zealand at the Lords in June 2021. The year-long birth centenary celebrations of doyen of music Pandit Bhimsen Joshi have begun today. A 2-day event has been organized in Mumbai to commemorate the timeless legacy of the great musical maestro by Ritwik Foundation for Performing Arts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has paid homage to doyen of Hindustani music Pandit Bhimsen Joshi on his birth anniversary. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, "We recall his monumental contribution to the world of culture and music." The Prime Minister said his renditions have attained global popularity. He said this year is special because we begin his birth centenary celebrations.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital is likely to have shallow fog. The temperature will hover between 9 and 21 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear skies. The minimum temperature will be around 17 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 31 degrees. Chennai will witness fog, mist in the morning and partly cloudy skies later. The temperature will vary between 22 and 31 degrees Celsius. In Kolkata, mainly clear skies will prevail throughout the day. The city will observe minimum of around 14 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 26 degrees. Srinagar to have mainly clear skies becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between -2 and 8 degrees Celsius. Jammu to witness mainly clear skies becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature will be around 7 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 22 degrees. Leh will have partly cloudy skies. Minimum temperature will be -11 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 2 degrees. In Gilgit, there will be partly cloudy skies. The temperature will hover between -2 and 12 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear skies. The temperature will hover between 4 and 16 degrees Celsius. Dehradun will observe a minimum temperature of around 8 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 19 degrees. The city will have partly cloudy skies with the possibility of rain or thunderstorm or a dust storm. Chandigarh will have partly cloudy skies, the temperature likely to hover between 9 and 19 degrees Celsius. Hyderabad, the minimum temperature will be around 16, while the maximum will be 31 degrees. The city will witness fog or mist in the morning and partly cloudy skies later. Ahmedabad will have clear skies. The minimum temperature will be around 12 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 31 degrees. In Patna, there will be partly cloudy skies with the possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. The temperature will move between 10 and 27 degrees Celsius. And in Guwahati, there will be fog or mist in the early morning. The temperature will be around 12 degrees Celsius at the minimum, and the maximum will be around 28 degrees.
Indian warplanes dominated the Bangalore sky today on the second day of the Aero India show. The light combat aircraft Tejas, advanced light helicopter Dhruv, the aerobatic teams of Surya Kiran and Sarang enthralled the audience. Speaking to media persons today, the chairman and managing director of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, R. Madhavan, informed that they have received the order to deliver 83 LCAs Mark 1A yesterday, and the first aircraft will be delivered in March 2024. The complete delivery of 83 LCAs will be achieved in 6 years.
LCA, as per the contract, we have to start delivery by 36 months from T0, that is today. We will be doing by March 24, the first delivery. The first year, of course, the delivery will be only probably 2 aircrafts or something, which will be ramped up to 16. The total supply time post the first delivery is 6 years. So that makes it the total project timeline for 9 years. Try to reduce it to somewhere around by 1 year also at the end of the project.
The entire project will earn business for 463 vendors across the countries, and MSMEs alone will earn 6,000 crore rupees for supplying the subsystems. Visit to Rashtrapati Bhavan, which was closed due to COVID-19 since the 13th of March last year, will reopen from this Saturday for the public. It will be open on Saturdays and Sundays except on government holidays. Visitors can book their slots online by visiting website presidentofindia.nic.in or rashtrapatisachivalaya.gov.in. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says our freedom fighters would have felt proud of the way the government tackled the COVID pandemic. Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Amendment Bill introduced in Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha adjourned several times due to repeated interruptions by opposition over farm laws. Delhi police files FIR against people who created Indra maligning toolkit shared by Greta Thunberg on Twitter. More than 45,93,000 people given COVID vaccination so far in the country. And in cricket, a rejuvenated Team India takes on England in Chennai Test tomorrow. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.